The Galactic Academy's most prestigious strategic warfare class had never experienced such profound silence. Professor Zexhai, a distinguished Vorthak commander whose 6 arms had orchestrated victories across 17 star systems, stood frozen at the holographic display. The complex battle simulation that had been running moments before flickered and died, leaving only the soft blue glow of the classroom's bioluminescent walls. 43 of the galaxy's finest military minds, representing species from the crystalline Zephyrians to the gas-based nebulae, turned their various sensory organs toward the lone human sitting in the back row. Marcus Chen, a 22-year-old from Earth's Luna colony, had asked the question that shattered everything they thought they knew about warfare. "I'm sorry," Professor Zexhai's translator crackled, struggling with what seemed to be a processing error. "Could you repeat that question, Cadet Chen?" Marcus shifted in his adaptive chair, designed to accommodate his unusual bipedal frame among the diverse anatomies of his classmates. His dark eyes held no malice, only genuine curiosity. "I asked why galactic warfare is always conducted in silence. Every battle simulation we've studied, every historical engagement, they all happen without any attempt at communication during combat. Why?" The Krillian student to his left, whose mantis-like head could rotate 360 degrees, made a sound that the translator interpreted as scoffing. "Communication during battle is inefficient, human. It reveals position, wastes energy, and provides intelligence to the enemy." "But," Marcus continued, undeterred, "every species here evolved from social creatures, right? Even the most individualistic of you had to cooperate to reach the stars. Yet when you fight, you become isolated, disconnected." Commander Felthara, a massive Gorvak whose stone-like hide bore scars from the frontier wars, rumbled from the front row. "War is not a social gathering, soft skin. It is about survival, victory, and the application of superior force." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "On Earth, we had a saying, 'Know your enemy and know yourself.' But we also had another principle, psychological warfare. Not just intimidation, but actual communication designed to end conflicts before they escalated." The professor's anterior eyes narrowed while his posterior ones maintained watch on the class. "Elaborate, cadet." "Well," Marcus stood, his relatively small frame dwarfed by the enormous beings around him. "Humans learned that sometimes the strongest weapon isn't a plasma cannon or a kinetic bombardment. Sometimes it's just talking." A ripple of what the universal translators registered as amusement passed through the class. Ysera, whose serpentine species was renowned for their tactical brilliance, hissed softly. "You suggest that words can stop a dreadnought-class vessel?" "I suggest that words can stop the need for dreadnought-class vessels," Marcus replied. "What if, instead of immediately engaging in combat, forces attempted negotiation, real-time communication? What if they tried to understand why they were fighting?" The silence stretched. Professor Zexhai's 4 hands moved across his personal datapad, accessing files that Marcus couldn't see. Finally, the Vorthak looked up. "In 3,000 years of recorded galactic warfare, no military force has ever attempted sustained communication during active combat scenarios." "That's actually insane," Marcus said quietly, and the translator caught the inflection of genuine disbelief. "Do you realize what you're telling me? 3,000 years of warfare, and nobody ever tried to just talk it out while shooting?" The Zephyrian student, whose crystalline body refracted the room's light into prismatic patterns, chimed in. Our species attempted communication during the Glass Moon conflict. The enemy used our transmission frequencies to trace our positions and eliminated 60% of our fleet. But did you try to actually communicate with them, or did you just send tactical data on open channels? Marcus asked. Another silence. I mean, Marcus continued, his voice growing more animated, what if instead of surrender or be destroyed, you tried, hey, why are we shooting at each other? What do you actually want here? Maybe we can work something out? Commander Felthara's laugh was like grinding stone. Naive human. Some conflicts cannot be resolved with words. Maybe, Marcus admitted. But has anyone actually tried? I mean, really tried? Because from everything I've learned about galactic history, it seems like every species just assumes that violence is the only option once ships start moving. Professor Zexhai accessed another file. Cadet Chen, are you suggesting that your species developed alternative protocols? We developed lots of protocols, Marcus replied. Most of them were terrible and didn't work. We fought constantly for thousands of years. But eventually some of us figured out that most fights happen because of misunderstandings, resource disputes, or wounded pride. Things that can actually be addressed through communication. The human paused, looking around the room at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. What I don't understand is how 43 different species, each of which had to develop complex social structures to achieve spaceflight, somehow all independently decided that interstellar warfare should be conducted like elaborate, silent duels. Perhaps, came a new voice from the back corner, because communication implies the possibility of being wrong. Everyone turned toward the speaker, Quintel, a member of the enigmatic observer species that rarely participated in class discussions. Their translucent form shimmered with what might have been emotion. To communicate with an enemy, Quintel continued, one must accept that the enemy might have valid points, that their cause might have merit, that the war itself might be unnecessary. The classroom fell silent again, but this time it felt different. Heavier. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it? The possibility that you might be wrong, that you might have to change, that you might have to admit that killing people was avoidable. Professor Zexhai set down his data pad. Class dismissed. Cadet Chen, please remain behind. As the other students filed out, their various locomotion methods creating a symphony of clicks, slithers, and footfalls, the professor approached the human. Your species, Zexhai said quietly. How many wars did you prevent through this? Communication during conflict? Marcus shrugged. Honestly, not that many. We weren't very good at it for most of our history. But the few times we did try, really try, it worked more often than anyone expected. And it occurred to us that maybe, if we'd started with talking instead of ending with it, things might have been different. The professor's 6 eyes all focused on Marcus simultaneously, a sign of intense concentration among his species. Would you be willing to design a new simulation for next week's class? One that incorporates these communication protocols? Marcus smiled. Professor, I thought you'd never ask. As the human gathered his materials and left the classroom, Professor Zexhai remained behind, staring at the dormant holographic projectors. In 3,000 years of galactic warfare, no one had ever asked the most fundamental question of all. What if we tried talking first?